Welcome back. This is Chris and my brother in Christ, Stephen.
Welcome.
Date today is August 16th, year of our Savior 2018. The title of this video is called The Golden Triangles Part 3. The Golden Triangles Part 3. Because triangles are very important. These symbols are very important to understand, to navigate through the matrix or the mother. Mother is another name for an inverted triangle. But as we move forward, we're talking about this ancient force that people tap into for power, but it puts them on the dark side, if we can use that term. You know, oh, Luke, you notice that, like Star Wars, it's tapping into the force. Don't you know that it seems to be always by majority dark? It's like, oh, there's a little bit of light there, but most of the time it's dark. And that's, the force you don't want to really be tapping into, because it is where the demonic realm resides. And you can do some supernatural things, but at the cost of your soul, at the cost of, it's not a good way to go. So as we continue learning about this Hinduism, about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, talking about the triangle, the female aspect of the triangle. Inverted triangle shows, female, lunar, yoni, Shakti, passive, etc. And then we get into yoga, which means to yoke yourself. Literally, it's a Hindu theistic philosophy teaching. It's a Hindu religion is what yoga is. And it's the suppression of all activity of body, mind, and will in order that the self may realize its distinction from them and attain liberation. Number 2 under yoga means a system of exercises for attaining bodily or mental control and well-being. So it is a system of exercises which is spread to America, and a lot of people do yoga, which I have. Using rolling out the mat and everything, but a lot of it is it's tantric is what it is. So, and then of course you have linked to yoga or yoking yourself, you have the yogi or yogin, Sanskrit for yoga, a person who practices yoga. Number 2, an adherent of the yoga philosophy. And so yoga means to yoke, which means to join. Means an oppressive agency, servitude, bondage, tie, link, especially it can be marriage, to join as if by a yoke. Remember, Jesus Christ says, take my yoke, it is light. Mm-hmm. Satan saying, take my yoke, it's very oppressive and heavy, and I'll take your soul. All right, continue moving about this. Another meaning for the inverted triangle is referring to cave. From the Latin cava, from cavus or hollow. So cave is another reference referring to female. Because when you're dealing with female anatomy, cave is where you would get the word cavity, which is an open space in the body. And so you have the word cavus, Latin cavus. And then you also have the word down. Down or mother. And down is pretty interesting because that's where you get cath. The word cath. And cath is, I look up the word cath, C-A-T-H. And it says, well, see kata, C-A-T-A, or cat. And it says from the Greek kata or cat, and it means down. Well, that is pretty interesting because cath is where you get cath, and kata mean down. That's where you get the word Catholic. Catholic. And Catholic's referring to what? Mother, right? Mother. Kata, down in accordance with down. That's what kata means. So you have Catholic. Catholic is from kata, which means down, plus holos, or whole. And so that means, it says morat kata, or safe, comprehensive, or universal. So when we're looking at the mother church religious systems, well, that is down, that's on earth, and that's ruled by a ruling body of clergy, the hierarchy. And they're the ones that have the power to make sacred. And that's usually when they're in a specific location in the church building, which is based upon the female anatomy. So cave. Cave is another word for cave, means to be pregnant. Kolos, hollow. So these are fascinating words, folks. That's linked to another meaning for inverted triangle would be mother. Mother, which Middle English is mater, from the Old English motor, akin to Old High German mutter, mother, or the Latin mater, and the Greek meter, Sanskrit matra, and that means origin, rise, beginning or derivation from a source, ancestry, parentage, inception, a generative force or source. And that's exactly author, prototype, or model. And that's exactly what is in Genesis 3 verse 20. She is the mother of all living. That's a generative force. That is the origin. And that's where you get things like the alma mater, right? Mother means down. We're looking at a fostering mother, a school as a college which has attended the song or hymn of a school or college. The alma mater, right? Praise be to the mother. So then we're going to be getting into the meanings of the male part. So when you flip it facing up, then you're referring to the male. Stephen gave a background a couple of videos ago about the phallus symbol, the phallic architecture. So we're going to look at the meanings of the erect triangle facing upward is male. And that's the sex that begets young by performing the fertilizing function in generation and produces small, usually motile gametes. Another word for male would be solar, right, dealing with the sun. So when you're dealing with sun worship or Sol, S-O-L, that's the Roman sun god, I believe. That's where you get the word solar system. And the sun worship is linked to the male phallus or phallic architecture or obelisks that have been found. Basically, they're found all over the world today, specifically in the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica. So then you have Sol, sun god of the ancient Romans. Then you have the lingam, right? And that is the counter to the yoni or yani. And yani is Sanskrit, which means literally vulva. And that's the formal symbol under which Shakti is worshipped. Then it says, compare lingam. And the lingam is the male aspect. So you have the yani or the yoni, and now we have the lingam. And the lingam is a phallic symbol. And it's also related to the Hindu god Shiva or Shiva. And you're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Remember, that's why Jesus Christ, in his word in 1 Timothy 6, verse 20, was saying, beware of the religion of science. A lot of things are put forth in the name of science. Now, we have the greatest scientific experiment going on right now, and at CERN, Switzerland, and outside of their facility, what do they have? They have the pagan god, Hindu god, Shiva, which is a reference to phallic worship.
Yeah.
That's the phallic architecture. That's relating to the lingam. And the counter to that would be the yoni, the vulva, the Shakti, or the female energy. Remember, you have the yin and the yang, if you want to use the Chinese, the masculine and female. And so then you have the aspect of Shakta. We have Shakti, but you have Shakta is the male aspect of that energy. And then that's relating to being assertive, to state positively. A mountain, a landmass that projects and conspicuously above its surroundings, a mountain. up, higher position, and then also referencing to father, a man who has begotten a child, sire, the first person in the Trinity, originator, source, a priest of the regular clergy. All right, so when we're talking about this, remember that the world is governed by a division of angels and a hierarchy. So we have the Holy Mother Church, right? The Mother Church, referring to Eve, the mother of all living. That's why you have Mother Goddess worship all over the world, found in all the ancient civilization. Ultimately, that comes from Eve, the first one to rebel and disobey against God. So when you're looking at, you have something to say, Stephen?
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of things that go into ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, the sun god Re or Ra was the dominant figure among the high gods, retained his position from early in that civilization's history. In the myth relating to the voyage of the sun god over the heavenly ocean, the sun sets out as the young god Keper, appears at noon in the zenith as full-grown sun Re, and arrives in the evening time, the western horizon, in shape of the old sun god Atum. When Pharaoh Akhenaten reformed Egyptian religion, he took up the cult of the ancient deity Re-Horti and the name of Aton, A-T-O-M, an older designation of the sun's disks. Under Akhenaten, the sun's qualities as creator and nourisher of the earth and its infants were glorified. The sun god occupied a central position in both Sumerian and Akkadian religion, but neither the Sumerian Utu nor the Semitic Shamash was included among the three highest gods of the pantheon. The sun was the most popular deities. However, among the Indo-European peoples and the symbol of the divine power to them, Shiva or Shurva, is glorified in the Vedas of ancient India as an all-seeing God who observes both good and evil actions, expels not only darkness but also evil dreams and diseases. Sun heroes and sun kings also occupy a central position in Indian mythology, where the Vivasvat, the father of Yama, corresponds to the Iranian Vivanta, the father of Yima, where the dynasty of sun kings, characteristically peaceful, that is quite distinct from the warlike moon kings. In medieval Iran, sun festivals were celebrated as a heritage from pre-Islamic times. The Indo-European character of sun worship, also seen as a conception of the solar deity, draw in his carriage generally by 4 white horses, common to many Indo-European peoples and reoccurring in Indo-Iranian, Greco-Roman, and Scandinavian mythology. And during the later periods of Roman history, sun worship gained an importance and ultimately led to what has now been called the solar monotheism. Nearly all the gods of the period were possessed of solar qualities. Both Christ and Mithra acquired the traits of solar deities. The feast of Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, on December 25th was celebrated with great joy, and eventually this date was taken over by the Christians as Christmas, or the birth of Christ.
Which is through Roman Catholicism, blending paganism with Christianity. Well, that's a powerful statement, because Steve was talking about Sol, which is worshiping sun, the sun, and that's where you get Sol is referring to the sun god of the ancient Romans, and that's today we believe that construct. So we have a solar system which is relating to the sun with the group of celestial bodies that would be planets or wandering stars that are held by its attraction and revolve around it, the attraction of gravity or the force.
And most people worship on supposedly Sun Day.
Sun Day, absolutely. So as we move forward, we're learning all about the male and female of the golden, or the triangles. We just use the word golden because it's a kind of catchy symbol. So learning all about, the sun, the solar, that's very important in the worship of. And of course, the phallus is what was taken when Isis's husband, was he killed by Set?
Yeah, his brother, I think.
His brother, and divided all the pieces so Isis put them all together, and the only one she couldn't find was his phallus, and so that's where you have the erecting of the obelisks, which is phallic architecture, which is found, the largest one is found in Washington, D.C., and then that with a reflecting pool, as above, so below, and then the other side, you have the Capitol building, which is named after Capitoline, which is referring to the female.
I didn't realize the Japanese flag was total sun worship.
It is total sun worship. Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah, all this stuff comes from the ancient mystery schools. You know, all of this spread, the sun worship, the male and female, spread to all the civilizations. So when we're getting into this, we're learning about the mother church, you know, the cave, and then it's down. Kata means kath means cast down. It means down, and that's where you get the formation of the word Catholic. And Catholic means from kath or kata, meaning down, which is another representation of the female triangle. The inverted triangle is where you get universal, broad, in sympathies, taste, or interest of or relating to or forming the church universal, or relating to the ancient, undivided Christian church, or a church claiming historical continuity from it, specifically Roman Catholic. Now, they say Christian church. A lot of people are turned off by the name Christian, which I totally get, but it's also important to understand that Satan penetrates the church, and the Catholic Church is not a Christian church, folks.
No.
Just because they used the name Christian right here, oh, a universal church. God didn't create this universal church of blending in all the pagan religions. No, he said he only wanted us to worship him and not worship Satan. God, Satan, and all the pagan religions. He wanted us to be set apart. So as we see this, so then you got from Catholic or kata or down, mother. These are all referring to the inverted triangle, the female energy. And so then we get into the Roman Catholic Church, right? Relating to the body of Christians, so they say, in communion with the Pope, having a hierarchy of priests and bishops under the Pope, a liturgy. Liturgy is rites and rituals centered in the Mass, and a body of revealed truth, especially relating to the Western Rite of this church, marked by Latin liturgy. All those words, we could just break them down and they would be very, very in-depth. But the bottom line is, this is a hierarchy. Remember, the world is governed by a division of angels, and under the division of angels, you have a hierarchy or a ruling clergy of priests, and they have the power to make sacred because of their genitalia. That is the sacrum area of your body, and that was where the pubic bone is. Don't make this stuff up because of what happened in the Garden of Eden to know. So sexual intercourse is about the magic, and it's about tapping into the light of Lucifer. That's pretty powerful, folks. So we're looking about Romanist, Roman Catholic. Well, getting back to the Kundalini, the yoga, the tantric, the orgiastic or the orgy, the tantric sex, the orgy, the revelry, the secret ceremonial stuff. Well, this is, you have the Buddhism is also linked to Hinduism. These are very, very ancient religions, folks. Buddhism and Hinduism are Indian religions. They're dharmic or dharma, a religion originating in the Indian subcontinent. Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, that encompass a variety of traditions, beliefs, and spiritual practices, spiritual exercises, spiritual development, largely based upon the original teachings. To the Buddha was an ascetic. He was a monk, right? And a sage who attained full Buddhahood, awakened one, monastic rules. So once again, that he attained a high level by what? Meditation, using his body through deep breathing, by emptying himself and opening himself up to that second heaven, that realm. So all of these things, folks, we're talking about the meanings of the triangle. The yoni, right? Sanskrit, vulva, abode, or source is a representation of a goddess, Shakti, in Hinduism. A little recap. Within Shaivism, one of the major traditions within Hinduism that reveres Shiva as the supreme being. And remember, Shiva or Siva is outside of CERN. That's the destroyer of worlds. Kind of gives you an idea of what they're trying to do at CERN. And so that is that's the male energy, and then you have Shakti, which is a female. And this sect is dedicated to the god Shiva or Siva. And so then you have the Shakti symbolizes his consort. The union of the Yoni and the Lingam represent the eternal process of creation and regeneration and all existence. So this is all about reincarnation, evolution, things continually ever expanding, you going a path, and if you do these good works, you're going on a higher plane up to becoming godhood, and if you're doing things bad, then you're going to be more like, I don't know, an animal or something like that.
Yes.
You know, and that's really where you get the whole thing of solar system. I believe it's tied into that, where it's saying, oh, the sun with a group of celestial bodies, these are celestial, referring to planet bodies that are held by its attraction. And they revolve around it. Well, what attraction are they held to by? Are they held to it by the Shakti energy? See, that's where I believe that's where they get the meaning of the gravitation, right? We've heard of gravity. Now, gravity means, what it means, it just means weight, okay, or heavy. And so something that is is heavier than air, it's going to go down. If it's less dense or less heavy than air, it's going to go up. Well, now you have, it's the gravitation. It's a force manifested by acceleration towards each other of other two free material particles or bodies. You know, what is that? The Yoni and the Lingam force? So this gravitation, I believe, comes from the ancient Hindu religion of the force, the Shakti, or that primal energy. That's the law of attraction. So folks, if we just focus enough, clear our mind and focus on that, use the force, as they say. Using the force was nothing but an introduction of Hinduism into the West. Star Wars.
What's interesting is all the Hindus and the Vedics, they all have idols and worship of icons and images, and the Catholic Church is the same thing. You got St. Peter, you got St. Mary, you got St. Bartholomew, you got this saint and that saint, and, it's just...
It's a very deep subject.
Idol worship.
Yeah, it is. It's idol worship, folks, and that is not, God does not want us to do this. So once again, this is just about sharing a personal journey, about sharing information and being aware. And if you're aware, you can make a decision. Because I think it's very important to tap into the force of God, which is through Jesus Christ. And yeah, do some deep breathing, good, and do some meditation, which is meditating on God's Word, not the satanic counterfeit. So, the spiritual exercises, where do you think the Baal priests or the Jesuits, where do you think they get all that stuff from? This goes back to the ancient mystery school found in Hinduism, folks, and Buddhism and all this other stuff. And the martial arts and all of this stuff up, emptying your mind. So so then they go, oh yeah, we're going to use that. That's the law of attraction. It's the Shakti force that keeps all the celestial bodies in orbit around the sun, around the soul, the Roman sun god. So that's why we have a solar system, S-O-L, right? Solar system. It's all has the pagan marks there, folks. So we should be aware of these things. So the Yoni, meaning the vulva in Sanskrit, is considered to be an abstract or summary representation of Shakti or Devi. Now it's not Diva. Diva is the masculine, but you have Devi. And that's Sanskrit word for goddess. Masculine is Diva. And that's the creative force that moves through the entire universe. In Hindu philosophy, according to the Tantra, which means loom and weave, system, text, theory, system, instrument, technique, or practice, you have Hinduism, Buddhism that co-develop together. Yoni is the origin of life. See, Satan has replaced the origin of life, the breath of life, with Genesis 2:7. Genesis 2:7 is talking about the breath of life is by the Lord God. But they go, oh no, that's the creative force. That's the Yoni. That comes from Eve. She's the mother. She's the mother of all living. And so therefore we use that And it's a process of reincarnation and us becoming a Christos, becoming a Christ, evolving into a higher being, evolving into a ascended being. And that corresponds to Theosophy. Where do you think Theosophy got their inspiration? Hinduism, folks. Buddhism. And then that's where you have Hitler tapping into. He was influenced by the Theosophical Society. And then NASA, formed by a lot of Nazis, and all of this occult stuff. So a lot of times we just tend to think like, well, you know, everything's science is just all physical laws, natural laws. No, it isn't, folks. It also deals with alchemy. These are alchemists and sorcerers at the very top. And you either correspond, you either are part of their evolution construct, or you're out. So that's what we're talking about. So we want to make sure that we give God all the glory about the breath of life. Because without God, the breath of life, we would have nothing. That is the life force. That is the force.
Yeah. And they worship all these different...
Man, that keeps us alive. Right. And so...
and Shiva and Parvati and Durga and...
it goes on and on.
Who you want to worship.
So that makes sense, because if I was saying, I would be counterfeiting the breath of life, which is the force or life force, and I would create a religion out of that, and I'd say, no, you got to do these deep breathing exercises, and he knows what it takes. He knows his human body better than we do. So I would, if I was Satan, is what he did, he'd have people breathing, doing certain breathing, emptying our mind, and then allowing an entity or entities to come in and possess the body, possess it as a host.
And make them feel euphoric.
Yeah, and euphoric. And oh my gosh, I had a spiritual awakening, and oh, I felt this and I felt great. And you can get into Reiki and getting, you know, that demonic aspect. Reiki is also a part of this, folks. So once again, very complex subject, but come to the life of Jesus Christ. God bless you. Bye.